So are we going to find out more about Jason Bourne's life as David Webb? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to the Bourne Ultimatum, the third of the Bourne franchise. Or, I guess just series. It's not really a franchise because it's only movies, right? There's nothing else. Um, but either way, the Bourne series has been pretty good so far, nothing amazing. With both of the first two movies, like, giving a lot to enjoy. Maybe some things that could be handled a little better. But the second one improved in a lot of ways on the first. And there's a couple things that I feel like the first did a little bit better as well. So hopefully, this third one kind of combines the best of both of the first two. That would be preferable. So last time, Jason is still trying to figure out more about his life. It's been almost 2 years since the events of the first film. And Marie ends up getting killed by this Russian assassin. And so during the course of the movie, not only is Jason trying to take out this assassin specifically, but he's trying to figure out if the entire organization that, kind of bred him into this black ops soldier in the first place is behind it. And the government, the CIA, meanwhile, is after him because they think he's, been killing people that they had set up elsewhere, and not the case at all. So a lot of misunderstandings and a lot of things to figure out. But it kind of ends with Jason kind of on good terms with the director. I can't remember her name right now, but he's on good terms with her, and she even reveals what his true name is, David Webb. Pretty, like, basic ass name, not really anything to speak home about. But he is one step closer to finding out more about himself, because apparently in the first movie, he didn't remember everything. He only remembered everything related to that specific job he was on. And so he's still learning more about himself. He's still got amnesia, which is, like, really interesting, too, because, like, I don't know, like, what is standard for amnesia. I've never had it. I don't think I've known anyone specifically who's had it. But he's had amnesia now for, like, 2 years, right around 2 years. And I just don't know, like, if that's super common, if amnesia typically lasts that long, or if it's one of those cases where it's not usual that it lasts that long and it only does in, like, kind of extreme cases. I don't know. Let me look it up. Let me look that up real quick before we get into this. I feel like this is a good time to do so, right? How long does amnesia usually last? Okay, according to this, I don't like to use the AI overview because it's like a lot of times it can be mistaken or whatnot. This is using, like, information from the Cleveland Clinic, though, which is also, like, specifically noted here. Healthline, WebMD. So it seems to be gathering its information from a lot of valid places. And it just says on here that the duration of amnesia varies widely depending on the underlying cause and severity of the brain injury, which that actually makes a lot of sense. And there's different types of amnesia. Like, transient global amnesia is temporary and lasts for a few hours to a day. Post-traumatic, caused by a head injury, can last for days, weeks, or even months. Anterograde amnesia, difficulty forming new memories after a brain injury, can persist for an extended period, potentially years. So I'm wondering if that's what he has. because he was shot in the back, and it wasn't a brain injury, though, that he suffered. There's also retrograde amnesia, loss of memories from before the brain injury can range, and then from a few hours to decades, so long range there, and dissociative amnesia, caused by psychological factors. This is more likely what he has then. May resolve within hours or days, but can sometimes last for longer periods. So, yeah, because he doesn't have a brain injury. When he was shot twice in the back, and then he fell into the ocean and was unconscious for a while. But he didn't actually face a brain injury. So it's more than likely that his amnesia is dissociative amnesia, based on what this says. I know I'm trying to diagnose a fictional character here, but yeah, it definitely seems more psychological because he was having a lot of psychological questioning and everything based on the kids and everything when this happened. It says, yeah, usually hours or days, but can sometimes last longer. So I guess it could be that. It probably doesn't usually last for years, but this is also a movie. They probably didn't really think about that, to be fair. But there is amnesia that can last for years. That is the gist of what I was trying to find out. So, okay. I feel like he just needs to have like these little clues to spike his memory, and he can like remember bits of it because we saw that in the first two movies. Just those little things that kind of get him to that place again. Now, this movie is called The Bourne Ultimatum. And so I'm wondering what the ultimatum is going to be, and is it going to be from him or to him? I assume we're going to get involved with more assassins and everything. Probably the CIA is going to get involved again. But who's going to be the bad guy this time? Because with the first movie, it was his former boss. The second movie, it was his boss's boss, who was working with the Russian mob. So who's it going to be this time? Are the Russians going to come after him again? Because we know that one guy was arrested, but he could come back. Like the assassin, Keith Urban's character, was killed, but his boss could absolutely come back and seek revenge. That's possible. But I feel like he would go after the CIA. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know like where this is going to go or how this is going to get involved. I don't know. But I'm interested in finding out. So let's get to this and see for ourselves. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this movie continues the previous film's insistence on shaky cams and just constant cuts that just really make the action seem really disjointed and frantic and in a bad way. I understand the idea behind it is they're trying to make it seem frantic in a good way, trying to make it seem like intense and unpredictable and whatnot. The problem is it just doesn't work. It just gets confusing and kind of dizzying. Like, I can't even imagine having seen films like this in the theater. It would have just, I feel like I'd have gotten nauseous from it. It's just such constant erratic movement in a very negative way. That being said, outside of that, this is the best Bourne movie so far. Like, easily the best. Um, in terms of story, in terms of pacing, in terms of pretty much everything related to the lore, the intensity, the character work, all of it was pretty much what I wanted this film to be. A combination of the best assets of the first two films. Uh, Combining just everything that made them good while getting rid of the stuff that made them bad. Outside of, again, the camera work. And when I say made them bad, I don't mean they were bad movies, just the weaker parts of them. You know what I mean. But yeah, it definitely was the best in terms of story. I think returning to the basic plot of like the CIA being the bad guys was smart. Last time having the Russians brought in and everything felt not only unnecessary but kind of felt like it didn't make sense. It was a random like thing thrown in for the sake of having the Russian bad guy trope, and it just didn't work in my opinion. It felt completely disjointed and needless. So going back to the main villains instead being the CIA specifically made more sense. And having this reveal a lot more about Jason's lore, getting to find out about like the fact that he did volunteer for the program for Treadstone, but despite all of that, he was refused when he tried to get out of it because he was gaslit into it. He was manipulated emotionally into compliance. But we saw during the flashbacks that Jason was having, the disjointed flashbacks, he was saying that he can't do it. And then he was subjected to water torture. And as we saw with the flashbacks in the end, when he's talking to the dude who, you know, did this all to him, the doctor, he even tells him, it's like, or we even see through those flashbacks, rather, that he emotionally manipulated him and gaslit him into compliance against his will. That's not volunteering. Like, he initially volunteered. We see he was a captain in the military. He initially volunteered. He initially wanted to do it because he felt it would help. He even completely offered himself up to getting rid of his old identity of David Webb. But once he was told about everything, he said he can't do it. He refused. And that's when they started to, again, torture him and gaslight him and manipulate him into compliance against his will. They made it seem like it was his will so they could then use that to further manipulate him later, as we saw them do in this. But it was not his will. His will would have been to leave this behind and to refuse it. So yeah. That's why by the end he even says that he's no longer Jason Bourne. He now knows a lot more of the truth. Maybe not every single little thing, but a lot more of the truth about himself. He knows where he came from. He knows why he's involved in all of this. And he's even taken down the people who originally did this to him, as well as those who are trying to kind of like make a new Treadstone with Blackbriar. So he's pretty much on his way to trying to let this go. Although we know that that's not going to be the case, because there's 2 more movies. One thing we know for sure is that his, like, entire image has kind of been resolved here. Like, the news, everyone knows about this all now because of Landy getting everything out. I was also really worried, by the way, that Landy was going to end up being killed by Vosen when he went to confront her. I'm actually thankfully happy that he didn't go that far, that she was able to just walk out of there because she got the faxes done in time. But yeah, like, she took them all down, and she might even get a promotion after this, like, for revealing this huge scandal, for revealing this, treasonous, terrible activity. And it's really interesting too how much these movies take a look at, like, the American government and specifically the CIA and the kind of fucked up things the CIA has done. Because in real life, the CIA has done fucked up shit. Horrifically terrible shit. But, I mean, what do you expect? It's the American government. So, it's like, these movies kind of tackle that to a degree. And show that there are people in the CIA who are genuinely trying to do the right thing and just trying to protect America and whatnot. But there are people who are using this power for the sake of, harming others and just basically gaining more power. They're just terrible people. I like that this movie also felt more focused. The previous movie felt like there was way too much going on. So having this one feel like it was more of a direct focus of Bourne trying to, like, discover this very specific thing about himself helped it really, like, feel cohesive. And Nikki's inclusion in all of this still, Nikki continuing to be a recurring character throughout all of these films, is fantastic. Nikki is great. She has so much personality. She's super smart. And she's, like, definitely continuing to be a force in this series. I hope she continues in the next two movies. I like that Pamela Landy has continued to be a character after the last one. She was great she was definitely one of the highlights of the last film and definitely continued that in this one. Um, I forgot his name. The one actor I wanted to touch on again here. Give me a second. I should still have this up. Hold on. Cast Scott Glenn as CIA director Kramer. Um, I wish he had more of a role in this. He's a really good actor. I really enjoy him in what I've seen him in. Like I said, he was in The Freedom Riders with Hilary Swank, one of my favorite movies for sure. Fantastic film about, like, it's one of those movies where it's like, oh, a teacher comes into a troubled school and helps the kids, the troubled teenagers, turn their lives around, based on a true story. And it's probably the best example of that kind of story. We've seen a bunch of those stories on this channel and just in general, but that's probably the best one. And he plays Hilary Swank's character's father, Aaron Gruel's father. And he was great in that. It wasn't like a major role, but for the role he had, he did a really great job. And I just wish he was in more of this, I just feel like he should have been more of a character, but he had, like, I think 3 scenes total. And they weren't even that long of scenes. He really wasn't that important. Vosen was more of the main villain. Kramer was just kind of also behind it. He was just an additional antagonist who, again, didn't really have a huge role in this film's events. So, yeah. And the Doctor was brought in at the very end. I mean, we saw glimpses of him through the flashbacks, the disjointed flashbacks, but he didn't really become an actual character until the end. So yeah, Vosen was definitely the main antagonistic force this entire time. And I'm glad that Landy, like, worked completely beside Jason to like basically fuck them over. I'm glad that she like was fully standing against them. And I'm glad that she also had like an ally within there. She had someone fully on her side in the CIA, so it wasn't just her against everyone. I like that as well. Um, I really, really can't wait to see like what they do beyond this because although he may not have like every bit of his memory back still, he's kind of gotten everything handled from like even his creation into being Jason Bourne. And it's like the CIA at this point, unless there's something else that comes out of this, has no other reason to go after him. So I guess we'll see. Um, but yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was the best one in terms of story, in terms of lore, in terms of just character work and pacing. Um, I think that they really nailed it here. The only the only thing I think they could have done better at is just make it do less shaky cam. We don't need the shaky cam. It's so disorienting. And stop doing all the sudden cuts as well during the action scenes. You don't need to do that. Let the scene actually set on what's going on for a few minutes. Like you can have cuts. I mean, every movie has cuts, but just not that constantly, you know. Um, but yeah, I definitely was very pleased with this. It's what I wanted it to be, what I hoped it would be, and it just shows that this series is continuing to improve each and every film. So, thank you as always so much for tuning in, and a reminder, do not spoil me on the last two movies here. There's two more, and I don't want to know anything about them going in. Do not tell me anything about the plot. Do not tell me anything about what's going to happen or why Jason is going to continue doing what he's doing, so on and so forth. No spoilers. Um, because I'm definitely very, very curious about how this is going to continue at this point and what's going to like lead into that. And I don't want to know ahead of time what that is. So no spoilers. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this movie down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.